Hey there folks, Pliskin by 51mm. So I move the camera up just a hair here. There we go. But figured I would do a video on my new Glock 19X that I bought today, brand spanking new. Bought this pistol for 588 simoleons. Whoops, did not mean to do that. But here it is. New pistol. As you can see, I've oiled it up a little bit, put some oil on the slide to keep it lubed and oiled up because it was getting pretty humid up here. But it came with these green fiber optic irons, as you can see, and I really like them because you can really see them really well. It also came with 3 magazines. Came with these 2, I believe they're extended because the bottom plates stick out, and then it came with this like standard Glock mag. They're all flat dark earth as well, and all of them say 17 round capacity on the back, but I think these here are extended because, as you can see, this fits flush with the mag well, and then these other 2 protrude. So I'm assuming they're extended, but that could be just some kind of thing to like let you get a hold of it and pull it out or something. I don't know. I won't know until I shoot it and get it out and, you know, compare them. It also came with 4 back straps. Let me show those. One I got on the pistol already, but it came with these flat back straps here. Well, they're flat, but they got different contours. And then there's some with different contours that have a beaver tail. I put one with the beaver tail on because I was messing with it and seeing if I could, because I wanted, that actually feels good in the hand compared to it being by itself. I can't get it to come off. I tried to take it off a moment ago and it wouldn't come off. So I think it's on there pretty tight. But there's these pins that the Glock comes with. This particular one. I have this pin here. This oversized pin, and I cannot get it to go back in with the back strap on. Like it won't even, it'll start there in that hole, but I can't get it to go all the way through. So I'm gonna have to, one of you guys can give me some advice, those of you who have had Glocks or 19Xs before, and instruct me on what I'm doing wrong, or I just have to simply look it up on YouTube, because I was trying to do that earlier and it just would not go back in. I tried all 4. The only one it would go in on was like one of these non-beaver tail ones. One of these 2. But the ones with the beaver tail, it's basically telling me to go pound sand with the beaver tail back straps. But other than that, it's got all sorts of cool features. I mean, I'd already mentioned the fiber optic sights, and it's got ambi slide releases, which I really like. That is akin to the Gen 5, I believe, so you can shoot it left-handed if you need to. Although it feels more natural right-handed, but that's because I'm a right-handed shooter. And believe me well, correct me if I'm wrong, I should say. But I do believe that the Glock 19X has a Glock 19 slide, but the frame is of the Glock 17. I could be wrong, and also correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the same model that the military had tried out, but SIG beat Glock. Which is kind of ironic because, you know, I've held multiple P320s. They seem like decent pistols, but like when they first came out, when the Army first adopted the P320, they had issues where you would drop it on the back plate here and it would go off. Now they corrected that, but I've been seeing little videos and little things in the news and kind of just like skimming through, and I'll be looking at other stuff and it'll pop up SIG P320s exploding. So did they fix the drop problem where it goes off when if you drop it, but now they're exploding? I don't know. They should have just went with this if they're having that much issues, but what do I know? I'm just some redneck out here in the middle of nowhere with too many guns, you know. But my experiences with Glocks has been pretty damn good. I've shot a handful of them over the years. I've shot them. My buddy, when we went to Sparrow's place that one time, one of his buddies brought a 40 Smith & Wesson Glock. It was a full-size one with a longer slide and I think longer pistol grip, may have been the same size, and we shot the fuck out of that thing. It did not have any issues whatsoever. We mag dumped on pumpkins, we mag dumped on soda bottles. We had a shotgun in my M1A and my H&R. We just had a good old time sitting there just pow, 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 pow. And no issues whatsoever. Then my other buddy, Lone Wolf, I think was his YouTube name, we went out there. He had a Glock 43 single stack 9mm, only 6 rounds, and we mag dumped it. I'm trying to think of who else I've shot with in my circle that had Glocks, but I've not had no issues with like all the Glocks I've ever been handed. Like, here, run a mag through this, you know. When my buddy's like, here, buddy, you know, try it out, or handed it to me, let me load it and all that, and we took it out and fired it. I've never had no issues with them. And I'm not saying that I've had other issues with any other guns or pistols. I've shot quite a bit of 1911s and they all run fine too. But the Glocks just never seem to tear up. That's my opinion, but from what I've seen with my own 2 eyes. So I've always wanted a Glock. I remember a few years ago I was trying to get a Glock 17 Gen 5, but it just never materialized. And then other pistols have caught my eye. I like Glocks, but I also like hammer-fired guns, as you guys know. Yeah, that mag decided to go running out into the woods. You know, I've got my CZ75 SP01, and it's still going to be my mainstay EDC gun, but you know, this got in the way, which wasn't a bad thing, because the CZ75 SP01 for a double stack 9mm all steel hammer fired pistol, that's one of the best in my opinion. The SP01, you can't go wrong with it. And then got a 1911. Always wanted a 1911, just like the CZ and the Glock. Always wanted a 1911. So I finally, after all this time, finally got a Glock. So I'll be cycling it in and out. And the good thing is too is it's a 9mm. So even if I make 9mm reloads, see, that's the cool thing about straight wall cased cartridges like 9mm and 45 ACP is you can literally, if I make a bunch of reloads, for example, for the SP01, the CZ75 SP01, I can also run them safely in the Glock 19. Now, would the Glock 19 group them the same? Maybe. I don't know what the barrel twist rate of this is compared to my CZ. I think my CZ has a 1 in 10 twist, but I could be wrong, so I'm going to assume the Glock 19 also has a 1 in 10, but I'll look into it some more. But that's the beauty of straight wall pistol cartridges, is it reloads, it don't matter. So if I get a pistol caliber carbine like a Thompson or a Chris Vector at 9mm or 45 ACP, it'll run just like it'll run the same ammo for my 45, like a Chris Vector or a Thompson will run, because I do have reloading dies for the 1911, and we have reloaded some 45 ACP for it. I just have not covered any of that yet because of time constraints, but I have run reloads through my 1911 and it shot pretty damn good. So same with the 9mm, and I can safely run reloads for one and the other and vice versa. So, but I always wanted a Glock. Going back to that, and that's kind of part of it, you know, Glock will run what the CZ will, so, but I've always wanted one just to have one, because, kind of like an AR-15. A lot of people say they're ugly. I don't know how. It looks pretty good to me. I mean, yeah, it's not wood and steel like a 1911, but there is a unique flavor to the Glocks. They have a look unto themselves. And I got lucky that I found one in the price point that I did, because this one was only $588, and in today's market, I mean, yeah, that's not really a steal, but you're not paying $600, $700 for a Glock. For example, I paid $980 for the SP01 back in 2021 when I bought it. I bought this in spring of 2021, and it was damn near $1,000, but we was just coming out of COVID and the gun scare. But even still, I looked at the price. These are about $700, $800 now, depending where you look and where you find it. But 2021, this was damn near $1,000. I don't regret it, because Uncle Joe set me up. No stimulus check got me this. But that's pretty expensive. Now compare that also with the Rock Island Armory 1911. Now this isn't a high-end 1911 by no means. This is basically your entry-level beginner 1911. You know, it's a government profile, looks like the old World War II 45s, and you know, 5-inch barrel and all that. But this was like $430. So between the really cheap end 1911 and really high end like CZ75, you know, kind of give or take the type of class pistols that each of these would represent, the Glock falls right in the middle. This particular one did. Fell right in the middle really well for 2023 on price point. Now I bought the 1911 in 2022. I should have mentioned that. But now I know that doesn't really correlate a whole lot because there are 3 different model pistols. But I'm just showing the extremes of most expensive, least expensive. The Glock 19X fell right there in the middle of being like near $600, but not quite in that price point. So it was a good deal in my opinion, and certainly don't break the bank. And if you're looking for a Glock or a 9mm double stack, this one might be the one to consider price point wise. I haven't shot mine yet. This certainly isn't a review, but I'm just laying that out there that, you know, the price point was you know, not in a make you go broke area on the scale. But I went in there and I saw the price point of it, and I'd held one of these a few weeks ago at a gun store in a Rural King supermarket, and I forget, I think there's want $600 for it there, but at the gun store I went to, this was $588, and I had already looked. I'd went in there. I didn't necessarily plan on buying the Glock. It was just in the back of my mind for options, because I went in there. I was wanting to try and buy another rifle. Was what I was wanting to do. And I went in there, and I was like, I'm losing the gaunt in there. I wanted to buy it, but it looked like it had been through the Battle of Stalingrad at least 3 times over. Like, it had been through the Battle of Stalingrad, went to Berlin, and then after the war in the 1960s, they traded it up and sent it to Vietnam to fight the U.S. You know, the Viet Cong were using it to scrape out outhouses after that. But that's the kind of condition that Mosin was in. It wasn't in good condition at all. It had no cosmoline, which was strange. I mean, most would see that as a blessing, but the receiver and bolt looked like they had been used to as a hammer, and it looked like it had been ran over by a tank. So I picked it up, looked it over, put it back down, and then there was a French Moss 36 in there. Gotta drink some root beer here real quick. But there was a French Moss 36 in there, and that's one of those French rifles that have been converted to 308. And I was sitting there as I was looking at it, working the bolt. It was at a pretty good price point, about the same price point as this, but I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was trying to remember, it's like, is this one of those that they say not to buy? Because during the Cold War, a bunch of countries converted their rifles over to shoot 7.62 NATO. Now, there's another thing that popped in my head too, is it said 308 on the tag, but that barrel was probably 7.62 by 51. So if I had bought it, I would not be able to shoot commercial 308 through it. And pardon me, but and that's another thing. I think that was one of them they say to stay away from, because the French kind of like did a monkey and hacksaw job to the Moss 36s. I could be wrong, but that's just what I remembered. So I looked it over. It had cosmoline everywhere it shouldn't have had cosmoline. The rear sight was packed full, but the bolt and receiver was completely dry. So I just put it back, and then I saw this and bought it. So, story told. Came home with the Glock. Always wanted one, even though I was looking forward to buy a rifle. But hell, I can't pass up, you know, double stack goodness and EDC. Another cool thing I found out about the Glock 19, just playing around with it when I got home, was that it will take an all-light Balder Pro. So, you all know what that means. I got the laser. That's cool. I've got that Midnight Blue Edition all-light Balder Pro down at the other place. I will be using that on the Glock 19. I think I'll even go and get a custom holster for the Glock 19X, from the same company I got my CZ75 SP01's holster. So, more videos to come, a lot of blasting and plinking and customizing to come for all the children. I'm just getting started, folks. And this is just on handguns. The rifles haven't been left out either. So, stay tuned, guys. I got more coming. This has been Pliskin by 51mm. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace. Now, let us see if I can turn this thing off here.